Hi, this is Lamar, and we are in the next segment of our video series where I try to help you lose those unwanted fat pounds like I have been able to do. And, my premise has always been that if you're busy and if you've got kids like I do and you're trying to work and do everything else, that you need to have a solution, a way to lose those excess pounds and be the person that you want to be without all of the hoopla and some of the minutia that goes around losing weight. I mean, there's a lot of bad information out there, and unfortunately, there's a lot of information out there that really kind of will depress people and make them not want to lose weight. One of the things that came out recently was an article in the New York Times, and I giggled because it's called the Fat Trap. And essentially, the premise of the article is that once you're fat, it's almost impossible for you ever to be lean and fit and healthy again. And here are all the reasons why. And sometimes, that's just crap that's out there that just serves to demotivate people. And I think some people want to hear that. They want to hear that they aren't in control of their lives and that the things that are happening to them are a result of circumstances, and they had no part in creating those circumstances. Therefore, they don't really have any part in changing those circumstances. That's not a positive way to be. What you need to think about is, how is it that you're going to be better? How is it that you're going to improve? And what things are you going to do if you don't like your circumstances to change them? That said, there are 5 big lies that go along with weight loss. I wanted to hit on them. First of all, that it takes a lot of time. That's not necessarily true. If you're doing it right, it doesn't take a lot of time. It does take you changing a few simple things that may not be easy to change, but it doesn't take a lot of time. Metabolically, your body wants you to be lean and fit. It wants you to have a relatively high ratio of lean body mass to body fat. And if you work with your body, you will lose excess pounds and excess fat. I've lost 70 pounds of weight myself, and that's somewhere near 80 pounds of fat based on the changes in my body fat. So there is no reason for you to say, well, it's going to take me a whole lot of time and I don't have enough time to do it. If it's something that you want to do, it doesn't take that much time, and that's a big lie that people have been perpetrating forever. For as long as I was fat, and now I'm on a journey to being lean again, I've heard that. Another huge one is exercise is more important than diet. That's simply not true. The most important thing you're going to do today is decide what you eat. That is the most important thing that you're going to do. It's going to dictate how your body performs every single additional function that you ask of it. So when you look at your diet and what you eat, and you look at how much time you spend exercising, you're not going to get the results that you want in any phase of your life if your eating is bad. If your diet is bad, if you haven't figured out what are the right foods to eat and how they affect you, then you're going to have a big problem losing weight. So it's not exercise, it's diet. Start there and then work the other way. Most programs out there, they start at the exercise because that's kind of the big sexy thing. You can see that, but it's really the diet that does all of the heavy lifting, and the exercise just takes you to the maximum potential. The other big one is it's really complicated. That's not necessarily true. It's not very complicated. I've read and reviewed a ton of different diet programs, most of which don't work, by the way. I think that if you want to make a change, you have to make a life change. A diet, in common parlance, is a temporary change, and you're not going to be successful if you just make a bunch of temporary changes to your life. That said, as far as the exercise programs go and the eating programs out there go, the ones that I've seen that are very successful focus on a few critical things. They're not very complicated at all. They focus on a few critical things, and once you get those things down, you're good to go. You can move on with your life. You can incorporate these changes into your life, and you can move on. You don't have to track every single macronutrient, every single essential vitamin and mineral. You don't have to do all that. So this fallacy that it's really complicated kind of perpetuates kind of the mass media and the market that is selling weight loss to people. That said, it goes right into the next myth, and that is that it's expensive because you need to have all of these other things going for you. You have to have a trainer. You have to have a health club membership. you have to take these supplements. That stuff's not true. And if you buy into that, then you're going to be at a disadvantage for many reasons. One, your pocketbook's going to be lighter. Two, your mental capacity to keep track of all that stuff is going to fatigue you, so you can't focus on the really important things like making sure your diet's right and then making sure that your exercise is in accordance with what you're trying to do with your diet. It's not very expensive in that the benefits that you're going to receive far outweigh the expense. That said, in the present time, if you buy into the I need to have all this other stuff, you will incur all these other expenses and not necessarily get any benefit from them at all. The last one, which is really, really funny, the more we learn about science, and hey, I'm a science geek and I'm fine with genetics. I got no problem with it. What I do have a problem with is when people say, well, I can't lose because of my genetics. Well, that's not true. As much as we are different, we are far more, a million times more the same. So to say that I simply can't lose because of my genetics is saying that I don't have control over my circumstances. I do have different genetics than my wife. I have different genetics than you watching the video. However, I still lost. My wife is down 40 pounds. Another friend of mine is down 30 pounds, all using the same basic principles. Well, how is that possible if we all have these broad spectrum of genetics? Well, the fundamentals, I believe, are the same. And the underlying fundamentals are the same, so you can start with the same foundation and then customize it to yourself. If you start with everybody's different, there's 6 billion people on the planet, and therefore we need 6 billion different solutions, that's ridiculous, and you're not going to be successful. So the first thing you need to do is accept that, you know what, yeah, I mean, you do have a unique genetic profile, but that doesn't mean that the basic principles and the basic foundations of metabolism aren't going to work for you the same way they're going to work for me. They may work better for you, and they may accelerate your fat loss more, so you may lose relatively faster than I do, or you may lose relatively slower. You may gain muscle relatively faster or slower. But that doesn't matter, because what matters is how fast can you do it, and what are you comfortable with, and how are you going to take that information and move forward. So those are the 5 big lies. That it takes a bunch of time, that's not true. That exercise is more important than diet, not true. That it's very complicated, not true. That it requires a hefty financial investment, not true. And then it's based on your genetic profile, not true either. So those are the 5 lies that I've come across, the 5 big ones. There's a lot more. Those are the 5 big lies I've come across as I've been on this journey from fat to fit. I hope that helps you out. This is Lamar Johnson.